Powerful. The devil's going to be in the detail of how this actually happens. But I think, well done. Thank you.
Well, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer this morning announcing an under-16s ban for using social media. He said social media is making children unhappy, making it easier for bullies to abuse children, and social media is designed to be addictive. He said a ban would give children more time, security, more freedom to grow up, as well as more opportunities. He also said that is all any parent wants. They want to know that Britain will be better for their children, that they will get a fair chance. We've heard a lot, of course, from parents throughout the day, and I wanted to get more of an understanding from an educator's side of this discussion. I'm joined on the line now with Jane Lunnon, who has been the head of Allen School for over 6 years. She has been a teacher for over 30 years. I actually did speak to Jane last when the mobile phone ban in schools was announced. Alongside that, I'm also joined with James Erskine, who is our resident social media and technology expert, and he's a proud dad of 2. First, let's go to Jane. Great to have you back on Radio London. I think I know the answer, Jane, but how were you feeling when you heard this news about a social media ban for children under 16?
Yes, hi, afternoon, Shay, and hello, James. I obviously delighted. Also, do want to put on record, I'm also a proud mum of 2.
Oh, you're a proud mum of 2. Wonderful, Jane. No, absolutely, proud mum too.
Truly, of course, I'm so pleased that the government are put this ban in place. We've all seen the impacts on children's social development. Obviously, that they're just those searing comments from those wonderful, brave parents who spoke at the beginning of the piece. That's the most extreme end. But even just at the kind of, mainstream piece, children's social development, their well-being, their ability to focus and to learn well is definitely enhanced if they are not enthralled to social media.
What do you say to parents who are concerned, though, and for them, 2 elements? Firstly, many schools are geared up for using social media for educational purposes, such as particular TikTokers who are teachers themselves, who maybe help students understand mathematics or science or whatever it may be. And also to those parents who are thinking, well, hold on, my child is dyslexic, my child is neurodivergent, and they learn online.
For the education piece, how schools use social media, of course, is up to the schools, and in use of any software platform in an educationally controlled environment, of course, is absolutely fine. That's up to the teacher and the management in that school to work out what specifically is necessary to enhance the learning in each case. So from that point of view, this is not a ban on schools accessing relevant tools to support children. What it is, as I've understood it anyway, is a ban on children accessing social media platforms in their own time, for non-educational purposes.
But that's the point I'm referencing is, some children, when they go home from school, they may be looking at, maths TikTok or particular YouTube channel, which helps them with their studying and their learning.
Yeah. Well, the good news, the really, really good news there, Shay, is that there are loads and loads of other educational software tools that do exactly that job, that are not social media platforms. So, there really truly are. And it behoves, I think, us as educators to make sure that we are communicating effectively with our parents, with our families, and of course with our kids around what those software tools are. Because I'm absolutely not suggesting that this is about, a ban on social media equals a ban on digital learning. Those 2 things are very different.
Okay. Let me bring you in on this conversation, James. What's your take, firstly as a social media expert, but also as a dad?
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because I think society and the world have been on a very similar journey to me. When we first started talking, Shay, I was a contributor to your show, and I was asked to bring in 3 stories every week. Yeah. And every single week, I brought in 3 technology or social media stories, which is kind of how we ended up talking more broadly about this stuff. And back then, I was very much of the thought that the genie was out the bottle, that you can't go backwards. It's a silly idea. And I have completely rethought my thinking on this issue.
That's surprising. Why?
It is surprising. And I built a career in social media and broadly in social media marketing. But I think this ban is a really good idea. And I think it's a really good idea for a number of reasons. And I speak as both a father and as a professional in this space. Broadly, number one is nobody is suggesting that the internet gets turned off for under 16s. There are still educators that you reference that could set up a website and show videos on that website in order to educate. The things that are being trying to be removed, and there's a whole nother debate about teenagers getting round the ban, but the things that are trying to be removed are two things. One, some of the content that is available on social media. And two, the algorithms that in a court case at the start of this year were shown to generate addictive behaviours to get that content to people. So that's what's been removed. You can still find The Sidemen on Netflix.
Okay.
You can still find TikTok maths tuitions in another format that isn't on TikTok. So there's plenty of ways for still children under 16 to find their tribe, to find things that are available in the digital space. And the other thing, I think it's great for parents because it now means I'm not a bad dad. It means the government are enforcing the rules.
Okay.
It now means the same way that people are going to wear seatbelts in the back of cars. It's not me saying it, it's the law.
Well, it's interesting because obviously both of you are singing from the same hymn sheet, if you will, but there will be some of our listeners just thinking, no, this is absolutely diabolical. My child has fun on social media. They've got their own TikTok channel, you know, maybe they've become hugely popular and they do dances and it allows them to let off steam. We're in a technological world now. What would you say to that, James?
I'd say this has also presented a brilliant opportunity for businesses, for creators and for media brands that are looking to serve children. Because guess what, Shay? In a world where nobody is going to websites anymore, everybody is just consuming the stuff on social media, people are going to start going to websites. People are going to start going back to the Match of the Day website and not waiting for the Match of the Day journalists to find them on TikTok. People are going to go to various different places. People are going to set up videos. You can still build a tribe. You can still build a culture. You can still find people on websites in other digital formats, on newsletters. You just haven't got the social media tools to do it.
I'm going to bring you back in. Yes, go ahead, Jane. What's your take?
Yeah, sorry, well, I just on the back of that, the other, how about this as a crazy thought? Wouldn't it just be amazing if they wanted to, you know, if kids want to get together and dance, that they actually got together IRL, you know, in real life and danced. You know, so there is something about, you know, just providing the real world opportunities for children to build social skills and connect with the humans in the room. That is a phrase we use all the time at Ali's, the humans in the room, you know, like to connect with each other. I can only see this as a real positive. And by the way, I totally empathise with what you're saying, James, that initially that feeling of can we put the genie back in the bottle and all of that. But I really do think this is an evolution. This is what iterative design looks like. You know what? Yeah. There are some things that are absolutely brilliant in the digital revolution that we are all living through, but there are other things that are failures or are wrong that we shouldn't be doing, and this is one of those things. And as with any other skillful and successful development in human history, we have to learn from that and adjust accordingly. And well done, Keir Starmer, for stepping up and being the nation's bad dad in this case.
Hold on. I've got to be devil's advocate. I guarantee there's going to be some of our listeners shouting at the radio and saying, no, absolutely not. We've just become another nanny state. We're being told how to parent. We're being told what we can and cannot watch. We can't even now, as a family of four, go onto TikTok and have our, you know, personal social media platform where maybe we could make additional revenue, which, you know, some families do with their children. What's your take on that, James?
I think that there are still ways to create value online. There are still ways to find communal tasks online. But going back to Jane's point, which was around what this can do for opportunities in real life, we're in the shadow of the Australia ban, right? And that if you put it in a global context, it's fascinating. I can't wait for, in a few years' time, old people in Australia to start saying, oh, I preferred it when they were all indoors on their phones.
Okay.
Now, I've been slightly facetious when I make that point, but Keir Starmer's lofty ambition, and you can look at this through cynical eyes about whether it's purely for a legacy play, but his lofty ambition was broader than a social media ban. He actually said this was about children being given back their childhoods. Now, you can reframe what childhood means in a million different ways, but I do think that as a society, we've swung far too more towards everything being measured. There are no hobbies anymore. There are only side hustles. And with side hustles, you have to put performance indicators around them. There is less time for play. There is less time for experiencing. And I think as a society, this is what we should be doing. And to the naysayers, to the nanny state, and by the way, I like pushing back against authority. I like doing things that people might frown at. And on being the nation's bad dad, Shay, I've said on the air before, I'm an appalling dad. I let my son have social media from age 11, so under the age when he should have been on social media at age 13 in the old regime. So I've done things very badly. But what I am really looking forward to is I wouldn't give my son a vape. I wouldn't let my son drink underage. I insisted he wears a seatbelt in a car. So sometimes it's a combination of factors. The state, educators and people in the real world that are combining together for the common good. And if that common good is giving young people their childhoods back, how can you say no to that?
Jane, what's your take on this? Because I appreciate you and I have spoken. I mean, very passionate words from both of you. And James kind of makes this interesting point just around in the future, this will just be normalised. But from your perspective, in a school that, of course, has already banned mobile phones, are teenagers really conscious of social media? Are they having these conversations? Or are we all as adults in our own separate echo chamber around really what teenagers and young people want?
Oh, really good question, Shay.
Thank you.
Yes, they are. I mean, are they conscious of it? I mean, it's oxygen. So are we conscious of the air we breathe? For teenagers, social media is oxygen. Obviously, which platform it is varies. It depends on the age of the kids and so on. But it is absolutely their modus operandi. That is how they operate. So I don't think we should underestimate what a big thing this is going to be. Welcome, though I suspect it will be for most parents and most families. I do think there will be definitely a period of adjustment, as we've seen happening in Australia. I think there are 2 points I would really, really want to make. One is about education, and I think I said this in relation to the phone ban as well. This will, if we think this is going to be the solution and only the solution, get rid of it out of kids under 16, and then the problem's gone. We are kidding ourselves.
Okay.
The attention economy is a real thing. It remains a real thing. And what we can't have is a situation where basically kids have almost no exposure to social media up to the age of 16 and then go crashing into it without really proper education. And so I suppose my absolute I think the urgent thing we need to think of alongside the ban is what are the education frameworks we're putting in place to ensure that by the time the kids are ready for it, and this is the really key point, it is about the development of the brain. This is well researched, kids' brains developing and trying to give them the space when all those critical neural connections being made to give them a kind of free of the really, really powerful addictive technology. But we do need to make sure that when they get to 16, they are mature enough, ready enough, and aware enough of the risks to address it.
I have to ask you, there is an elephant in the room that we've not really discussed here. And I suspect some listeners will be thinking, yeah, it's all good us harping on about social media. James, what about AI? Do you think this is going to be the same thing that will happen with AI?
In short, yes. So we've said before, Shay, that 2026 was going to be the year of regulation, and without coming across too smugly, it has proved to be thus.
You have been right, absolutely. It has been
indeed. But the other thing that we found with the Online Safety Act that came into play at the start of this year is regulation does not move quickly enough. So at risk again of applauding something Keir Starmer's done, saying we're going to move by spring next year, which is incredibly quickly for government legislation. I think the other thing we've recognised is government legislation does not move quickly enough. When the online safety bill came in, it was being applied to things that had never thought it was going to be used to counter and to restrict and to legislate for. So a long way of saying yes, but interestingly, this ban goes further than some of the things in the Australia ban. It includes some of the AI elements. It includes looking at user-to-user platforms. It includes looking at some of the algorithms that AI are including to create virtual friends. So it's already going some of that way. But Shay, you're right. We need to be reviewing this very regularly on an annual basis. What does the online safety bill look like this year? Because tech is bigger than countries and it moves quicker than countries.
Absolutely that. Just finally, Jane, what would you say to any parent who's thinking, well, gosh, my child's kind of 12 and 13, so they're already exposed to it. What do I do?
I think I'd be saying don't panic, firstly. Secondly, I'd be saying, great, this is, in a way, this particular argument is one I don't need to have because the government are having it for me. Yeah. And notwithstanding all the comments about the nanny state, can simply now say it is against the law. Sorry, love, you can't do it.
There is strength in that, I guess.
Is nice and simple.
It is. Listen, Jane and also James, such a pleasure having you on Radio London. I know that this has been a riveting conversation, an important one. I look forward to having you both back on the show soon so we can discuss further developments. Thanks for joining me today.
See you soon, Sharon.
Thank you so much. James Erskine, you can find on Blue Sky and X. And also a big thanks to Jane Lunnon, head of Allen School for over 6 years. Shares your thoughts on this. 0800 731 2000.